Demonstrations from our expert guests as well as the latest tools. And find out what's coming up on the show by following us on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe to our email newsletter or visit the programme guide on our website at www.yarnlane.com. Missed the live show? Don't worry, we recorded it for you. Never miss out on your favourite presenters, guests and makes ever again. Head on over to our YouTube pages to watch back the day's live show and enjoy your favourite demos over and over again. We also have lots of great content exclusive to our YouTube pages, such as product demonstrations, troubleshooting videos, and so much more. Subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you never miss a show or video ever again.
We know that shopping online can be a confusing and sometimes daunting task, and sometimes all you want to do is talk to a human being. Well, our family-run customer service team are on call 24/7. They're full of friendly, warm-hearted individuals, all trained to make your shopping experience as easy and as enjoyable as possible. And not only will they take your order, they will also help and guide you on your shopping journey, so you never miss out.
Hi, I'm Sam from Adventures in Crafting. I'm a craft and crochet teacher based in Tring in Hertfordshire. Since lockdown, I've moved all of my classes onto Zoom, so I now have customers from all over the country. I teach lots of crafts, but crochet is my specialism. I became passionate about crochet when I was pregnant with my fourth child and in desperate need of some me time. Crochet became my sanctuary and I've crocheted every day since then. I'm a qualified teacher, and 8 years ago I began teaching crochet. I love sharing my passion with other people. I design patterns, sell kits and teach lots of classes. My classes range from beginners to next steps, specific makes and clubs. I also like to design crochet alongs. My most recent one was my autumn granny square crochet along, which resulted in me designing this allotment jumper, which I love to wear when I'm out gardening and looking after my chickens. My crochet tip for you is to enjoy it. Crochet should be about taking part in a hobby that brings you pleasure. My claim to fame is that I met Kirsty Allsop at the Handmade Fair and I gave her one of my crochet sunflower brooches. I'm so excited to be taking part in Yarn Lane and I hope you'll enjoy my demonstrations.
Good morning, afternoon, lunchtime, and welcome to Yarn Lane. So today is all about needlepoint or tapestry, you can call it whichever you like. We've got lots of cushions to show you, and I'm going to explain how you do it and how it works and what's in the kits. But to start off with, remember last week I launched Yarn Lane Loves, which is basically products that I love that I think you will do. So we've called it Yarn Lane Loves. Last week we had some lovely mugs with knitting balls of wool and needles on. This week we've got an amazing project bag. Isn't this lovely? So it's got wooden handles. It is only $12.99. So I love this because I love the bag, but I also love it because I love the price. It's got wooden handles, zip across the top, and inside it's absolutely perfect for keeping all of your current project or your yarn. It's long enough to fit knitting needles in, and it's nice and padded as well. And then on the side it's got a pocket with a bit of Velcro that you can keep, a bit of Velcro, so you can keep your needles in here or other bits and pieces. But I just think with these wooden handles, it's that really sort of traditional knitting bag, isn't it? What I think is great is that the zip comes out beyond it so that you can really open it properly, because quite often when you get these bags, if the zip doesn't go beyond, you can't open it all the way. But it's just your proper traditional thing, and I think it's lovely for this time of year. It's just full of sort of pretty meadow flowers. Actually matches my apron, doesn't it? If you wonder why I'm doing it, I've actually forgotten to say this off. This is the apron that that Jules did at 9 o'clock on Sewing Street this morning. So if you want to buy a kit to make an apron, that's the one I'm wearing. But doesn't this match beautifully. Anyway, I think that's lovely. It's a special product that I've chosen for you because it's just great for all yarners. Keep your current project in. You know, when you finish your bit of knitting or your crochet or whatever for the evening, you can just pop it in the in here, put it down the side of the sofa. It doesn't get messy. But it's also perfect for the kits we've got today, the needlepoint kits. You can get all of it in here because there's a lot of yarn in the kits. You need to keep it sorted, and this is the perfect to keep it in. So I've got lots of kits for you today, but just, oh, do you want the measurements for it? It's 10 by 40 by 32. So 10 centimetres depth, 40 centimetres across here and 32 centimetres high. I think £12.99, that is a fantastic price as well. My Yarn Lane loves have to be good prices. That's the other point of them. Now, we've got lots of kits to show you today. But we've also, so I'm going to go, actually I'll show these over there because they won't make any sense anyway. So I'm going to move over to the other table to show you all the kits with my cushion backs. Right, I'm back. So we have got, well, I wanted to bring you needlepoint. Now, a lot of people call it tapestry. I mean, traditionally, if we talk about it properly, tapestry is actually a woven fabric, whereas needlepoint is a stitched canvas. But it doesn't matter. Lots of people call needlepoint tapestry. And there's various different stitches you can do. If you're stitching with wool on a canvas, it's called needlepoint. This, a lot of the time, that is done with half a cross stitch. These designs are done with full cross stitch. So cross stitch as a genre is thought of as when you stitch on an even weave or an Aida. But if you do cross stitch on canvas with wool, it's called needlepoint. Anyway, I wanted to choose you some kits. I've chosen you kits that are really good quality and easy to understand and perfect for beginners, but obviously can be used by anyone of any ability, but beginners will be able to handle them. And it was really, really tricky choosing the designs, and I limited myself to 10 in the end. So in a minute, I'm going to go through the kit, what you get in it and how it does, but let me introduce you to the designs first. I'm going to start off with the sheep because I love the sheep. Isn't that lovely? Now, all of the cushions are 16 inches square. I will go through the kits in a moment and show you, but everything, and I mean everything that you need is in this kit, except for the cushion back, but don't worry, I've got those for sale separately. £24.99, aren't they gorgeous? Curious Sheep it's called, because they are. They're looking at you, aren't they? Where, what? Are you going to feed me? That's what they're saying. So everything you need is in this kit. You've just got to choose which one. You've got the painted canvas, the wool, the needle, but we'll go through that in a minute. This is the one that is the most limited in stock because it's so lovely. So that's Curious Sheep, and there's the kit for it. Okay, I'm going to just work from one end of the table. Geometric. Now I like this one because I think that's just will fit with most decors. It's all, you can see how intensely the whole of the canvas is covered with stitching, even the background area. So it's not like the cross stitch thing where you don't cover the background. Everything is covered, and this is the kit for it. So that's Geometric in shades of sort of rust and sage green and browns. A very traditional design. I really like that one. I think it's just a very traditional design. Shall we move on to Kittens and Puppies? I like this one because look. This one is the most, look, it's like the kitten has just fallen asleep on the bookcase, and there's the kit. There's the kit. Oh, there you go. It's very realistic. When you look at the way that the different shades and the colours have been used on the books, it gives that really three-dimensional feel. If I turn it at the top, look, you can see the tops of the books there. So that's kitten in the bookcase one. Now, if you prefer dogs to cats, we have the same, but puppies. Look. So if you can't decide which one, you have to have one of each. Sleeping dog. Gorgeous, isn't it? And obviously the kit to make the dog. But you need to see the cushions, otherwise you wouldn't be able to choose. I'm just going to go through them in the order. So roses. Roses. Have I got that? Which way up is that? That way. Oh no, maybe it's that way. Right. Yeah, no, it's that way. That's it. It's that way. Yeah, I'm just looking at the picture on the front. That's roses. it's very clever, isn't it? So when you get closer, you can see all the stitches, but when you go far back, it really is very 3D, isn't it? The way that the shading and the colours is done. And honestly, when I show you how to, it is so easy. This is so achievable. So if you've ever wanted to do this, you want to make your own beautifully stitched cushion, and value for money as hours it will take as well. You know, it's a lovely thing. You can sit and watch the TV. You don't really have to concentrate too much. You can just pick it up, put it back down. It's a lovely, lovely hobby to do. So that's roses. Now we'll go on to blue tit. Blue tit on the milk. Is he on the milk bottle? No, he's on a fence. There's blue tit. That's really pretty, isn't it? So it's the blue tit on the fence with the roses. See, look, you can see. Isn't that lovely? Very difficult trying to decide. Remember, they are all on the website. If you click on Watch Live and scroll down, you will see them all there. So if you can't decide now, then have a look at all of them once we've gone through them all. I love this one. This is like poppies and daisies and cornflowers. Just making sure I've got that one the right way up. Yeah. What do you think? Really like that one. I think it's beautifully designed, that the stems and the foliage sort of a really lovely dark colour. So the leaves stand out, but the flowers stand out around it. And the cream in the background is a really nice rich cream. There we go. Then we've got poppies. That's nice, isn't it? Always popular. Everyone loves a poppy. And obviously they do have the kits, but the kits, it's more interesting looking at the finished cushion. Beautiful. Something a bit different. Giraffe. Giraffes, everyone always loves a giraffe. Whatever we do, people love a giraffe. We did the giraffe in the latch hook kits a couple of weeks ago and you loved it. So I had to do it in the needlepoint as well. It's lovely. I think they are beautifully designed because he really looks quite 3D. The shading that's on his spots that goes beneath his chin and onto his neck really makes his head stand out against the background. So that's your giraffe, just because you love a giraffe. And one more is the robin. Then I had to stop. I thought I can't have any more. It's just going to confuse you. We don't normally have 10 choices, but I couldn't choose. Well, I had 9 and then I had the sheep. So I love the sheep. He's lovely, isn't he? Little robin. So we've got quite a theme, you know. We've got quite a few floral ones. We've got 2 bird ones. We've got cats, dogs. We've got the geometric, the sheep. Very tricky to choose. But don't worry, they're all on the website, and what's more, you can go through them all and have a look. So I've just got to move a few of my kits out of the way, but I'll put them on the floor so you can see them all. I've got too much stuff going on there. Now, if you look at the backs of these cushions, you can see they are laid flat. They've all got pre-made cushion backs on them with the zip. Okay. Now, when these are made, these are sold as separate items. In fact, I've got one here that I've opened earlier. So these are all on the backs of these cushions are all in this neutral shade. Now these are fantastic. A lot of you who do maybe knitting and crochet don't really want to do the sewing. Look, these are 18 inches square, so they're absolutely perfect for these cushions, which are 16 inches square, because the zip is shorter. The zip is sewn in already. Now they're a really nice, heavyweight, 100%, almost like a canvas cotton. I'll show you the back of it. Look, you can see the zip is pre-inserted. All you have to do is when you finish making your cushion, you place this on, right sides together the cushion, sew it together all round. That's it, done. So the one that I have here is in just the neutral, like a gold maize colour. £9.99. You obviously don't have to use if you've got other cushions. I know a lot of people who've made different cushions and different things, whether it's patchwork or applique or sewing, embroidery or needlepoint, and never get around to finish them because they don't want to put the zip in. Well, look, these are pre-made, but we have done these before on Yarn Lane when I did the latch hook cushions with Jules. They were extremely popular and actually we sold out of them. So I got I got some more, but I've got them in other colours. So we have got them in black. There's black. I think £9.99 is a fantastic price because they are 100% cotton, but they're the sort of weight that you need for a cushion, particularly a needlepoint cushion where there is extra weight to it. They are a really strong canvas. The zip is sewn already in them. They are the perfect size for these cushions, or you can use them for other projects. So that's the black one. We also have it in grey. Now you can use that, and obviously all the cushion samples I've got here, they have backed with that neutral colour one, but you could, you know, I just think it's nice to have that choice because with a lighter cushion you might want a grey. And you don't have to use them for these cushions, you use them your own. Because a lot of people say, oh, how do you put a zip in a cushion? And I think, yes, it's not difficult, you can learn how to do it, but it's a shame if you don't do something because you're put off by the thought of putting a zip in. And then finally I've got them in white. Basically I just got all the colours that they do, so that you've got a choice, because we did sell out last time and I know that they're popular. So you've got a choice of, I think it's called neutral, isn't it? No, this one's called white. The first one that I did. So there's a choice of 4 colours. So obviously, you know, you just choose which one you want, but they are fantastic. Remember, they are 18 inches square, so you could use them up to sort of 17-inch cushions, really, as long as it fits on top of the cushion back. But the zips are shorter than that, so that's fine. Okay, so those are the cushion backs, and then I'll talk to you about the tapestry needle threader when we get there. So first of all, let's look at the kit. That's the most important thing. So I am going to demonstrate with the flowers kit, which is the mixed sort of cornflowers and poppies, which I think is just called flowers. It's this one here. That's the one that I'm going to show you how to make in my great pile of cushions. So if I open the kit for you, inside, this is the most important thing about it, there are full instructions. You get the full colour picture so you can see, and actually if you look at it, if you're getting a bit closer, you can actually see every stitch. There you can see how you're going. It's quite a good way of going, oh, which flower shall I do next? Because you can see the photo, you can see every stitch. You're obviously not using this. This is not charted cross stitch. You do not have to follow a chart, which is something that puts people off. But it's nice to see a very clear photo of where you're heading anyway. Then you've got full instructions which shows you how to do the cross stitch and which way it works and all the information you need. But I'm going to show you it. Now, in your kit, you will get a needle. That's important. They give you a needle. I'll put that there. And the canvas. You also get a little label with Rebecca, which is the name on it, so you can say that on your cushion. Anyway. Now, the canvas, I've done some stitches already, yours won't come with that, is, let me put it the right way up, hand painted. Now, this is a double thread canvas, which means you've got pairs of threads going one way and pairs of threads going the other way. Where they intersect, you get a hole, and the hole is where you work your cross stitches. So I'll show you in a minute how you do them, that you don't go through between the 2 threads. So it's very strong, but these are hand printed. Now, quite often when you get a canvas, they are just printed. So you're not always absolutely sure where to put each colour, because the print sometimes crosses from one square to another. And that's fine. When you've been working on canvas for a bit, you get better at, you have to make the decision, shall I do it in dark blue or light blue? But this is why I love these for beginners, because they are hand painted, so it is very, very clear which colour to put where. And then you get the little box of colours. So that's what you get. It's absolutely, you know, that's the size you need. You do all the flowers first, then you fill in the background. It has these little corners so you know where to stitch up to. And really easy to do. You don't need anything else. You don't need a frame. You can use a frame if you want to, but you don't have to have a frame to do this. The canvas is really stiff. You can put it on your lap. You can take it to the caravan. You can go on holiday, go on the bus, on the train, sit on the beach. You know, it's a great portable thing. And you can watch the telly when you're doing it, because you just have to look up and down every, you know, it's not like you haven't got to concentrate. You're not following a chart. You haven't got to remember where you are. You don't have to count. It's all there for you. In the kit as well, you will get lots of yarn, more than enough yarn to work the kit. Now, it will come in a big, I've got one here. It will, this is the poppy. When you get it, let me open this one up. I'm going to try to fit. All the yarn will be like this, all mixed up. It will look just like that. So what you need to do first, and you don't have to, but I found it easy, is I sorted all mine. It didn't actually take long. I did it in 20 minutes because I timed myself. Take all the colours that you've got and tie them all together. So it's an easy way to see what's what. So I've worked out from doing it that I had 3 reds. But if you don't pre-sort it like that, you might get them mixed up. And then all I did was just tie them very loosely into a knot. So sort all your yarn out. I put the orange and the yellow together because they were easy enough to see what the difference was between them. Don't put colours together that are quite similar. So I put the dark green and the light green, only because I didn't want loads and loads of knots, but it's easier to do it if you pre-sort it like that. Then what you could do, if you look at the bottom of the canvas, can you see here, we've got a little piece of all of the colours. Now, it was easy when I sorted it because I did it in daylight, so I could quite easily see the difference, say between the cream, and the cream is the background, which is why there's loads of it, and the white. Once you've sorted them, you can tell, but maybe you're working later in the evening in artificial light. It's not as easy to see which is which. So what you do is that's a white one, is you just snip off a little bit, which is about 3 inches. You thread it through your needle, and then loop that through the centre of the colour square and just tighten a knot. In that way, when you're then trying to match it later on, or you're not sure, because, you know, obviously some of the kits have closer colours and some more different, you can easily match which one is which. So do that again. Right, so we're just going to run the graphics across the top so you can see all the different kits, because I know you're probably thinking, oh, I don't know which one to choose. So far, the puppy on the shelf is the most popular so far. Oh, see, now I thought the sheep would be the most popular. That's the second most popular. I love the sheep, love the curious sheep. So do that with all of them all the way along, and you will find it then later. If you don't want to pre-sort your yarn like I did, you don't have to. It's just that I decided to sort it all out. It does help. It's quite a nice process to go through because then you can identify, you can see what colours are what. Now, unlike when we did the latch hook, if you watched that the other week, you can start wherever you want. You don't have to start from the bottom up or the top down or whatever. You can start wherever you want. So if you're in the mood, you think, well, I just want to do something really quickly. You think, well, I'm just going to do those blue flowers. It does help then, that's when you've got your picture. It's almost a little bit easier to choose where you want to start when you look at the picture because you can see it better. So you might think, well, I want to start with the blue flowers or the white flowers. I've obviously done a little bit here already. So I have done the dark parts of the flowers. So let me do the light parts. So because I've pre-sorted my yarn, I know that those bits are the light blue. Now when you thread your needle, take your needle like that and fold, move that out of the way, it's easy to see, fold the yarn round the needle and squeeze it tight and pull it off so it's still between your fingers, and then push it, if only you could thread sewing needles this way, through there and pull it through. I mean, you don't have to do it like that, you can just thread it through, and actually they do thread really easily. I just find it easier to fold it round. So that's lovely, you know, if you're struggling with threading needles, this is so lovely, you know, compared to sewing with stranded cotton, you've got a nice thick, it's a tapestry needle, so it has a blunt point and a large eye, and it's perfect with sewing with yarn. Now, if you're starting off and you haven't done any stitches already, then the best thing to do is to start off with a waist knot. If you've already got some stitches, like I've already done some, you can stitch into the back of them. But if you haven't got any, you need to start. So just tie, and we don't like knots in sewing, but don't worry, this is a non-permanent knot. Tie a couple of knots in it. Now I'm going to start by stitching this one here. So bring the needle from the top and out where you want to get started. Now by having that knot a few stitches away, after this I'll be sewing some of these areas that will hold that into place. Then you can cut the knot off. Or what you can do when you've done a few stitches, you can cut the knot off and sew that end through. But it's just a really good way of starting. So let's look really carefully at the canvas. I wonder if it's better, is it better to have a white background? I wonder whether, can you see it better with a, no, not particularly. Right, so you can see on here that this section here is painted with the light blue, so that's where we're going to work the light blue stitch. And that's the beauty of it being hand painted, is you have got to cross over. The centre of your stitch needs to be over the colour that's painted. So bring your needle out at the bottom right. See this 4-hole square? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the 4 points of the cross. You can do it either way. You can do the bottom stitch going that way or the bottom stitch going that way. Just make sure you do the stitches, every stitch in the same way. The top stitches must all face the same direction or it will look messy. The light will fall on them differently and it will just look messy. And sometimes people say, why does it look messy? Well, that usually is the reason. So it doesn't matter which way as long as you always do it the same way. So I'm bringing my needle out at the bottom right and I'm going to put it back in at the top left to make half a cross. Can you see that? Bring the needle back out at the bottom left and put it back in the top right. And that's one cross stitch. Finished. So I'll do another one. Bring the needle out at the bottom right. Obviously be careful, if you bring your needle out in the same hole that you've just been back in, your stitch will come undone, so you do have to think about that. Needle in at the top left, needle back out at the bottom left and back in the top right. So you can work that stitch from the bottom left to the top right or the top right to the bottom left, as long as these top stitches all face the same way, otherwise it will look messy. So let's do another one. You can see, look here, we've got another light blue in the centre square painted. So bring the needle out at the bottom right and put it back in at the top left. I mean, look how, it's just so lovely to do, isn't it? It's easy. It's easy to thread. The holes are massive. There's 10 holes to every inch, so it's easy to see. Now, when you're working into a stitch that's already worked, the hole is big enough to get that needle into, but make sure you go into the hole. Don't pierce the yarn from the previous stitch because again you won't get an even look. But it's big enough, just sort of wiggle it slightly. Just make sure you don't go through the yarn. Just make sure it goes beside it. And the hole is big enough because eventually, because the whole thing is stitched, every hole will share 4 stitches. But it's big enough for that. So this is very mindful, isn't it? Isn't it lovely? It's very therapeutic. I love doing needlepoint. Bottom left. And when you do your first few stitches, you're thinking these holes are too big because the needle really does fall through them. But remember, you're going to be having 4 stitches going into every hole eventually. So there's one little flower done. Now the centre of that flower doesn't have any painting on it at all, and that means it's done in the cream. So anything that isn't painted is the background colour, which will be the one that you've got the most of, and in this case it's cream. In different canvases it's different. If I looked at the, which I have here, the puppy canvas, which I've done a bit of stitching on already, that's all completely painted because it doesn't have just the one background. So it's all painted. But if yours doesn't have any painting on it, it means that it's all in that background colour. That's the puppy. Now, if you need to go to another area, if you've now finished that, what you can do is you can just bring the yarn up a bit of a distance away and you can just unthread your needle and you can leave that because you want to move on later. That's fine. I would say don't take the yarn over too far of an area behind that doesn't have stitches in because it can start pulling and distorting the canvas. But if you look at this one, I've done those blue stitches here And then I've already done some dark blue ones, so I can turn that over. This is the way you finish off your thread as well, is weave the yarn through the back of the stitches. Now I'm in a position where I can start doing some light blue stitches because I've put that on the front. So again, bring the needle up. Make sure you don't pierce the other cross stitch in that bottom left, and you can see what you'll find is that you will have a way of which way you do it that feels right. I don't even think about it, just one way feels right, but just do double check that all your top stitches are going in the same direction, only because if you've spent time on this, you may as well get it neat. And then we're going to go, there's another one. It's so easy to see, isn't it, that I'm going to stitch on these ends. Now, as what I said at the beginning, is that they are pairs of threads. And it's very obvious which are the big holes. You don't want to be going through the gap between the pairs of threads. I mean, to be honest, it's very difficult to get through them. You really would have to pierce them. It would be, I mean, you can get your needle through them, but that's not what they're there for. It's a double thread canvas because it's very strong. It's particularly good for this sort of canvas, for using for things like upholstery, for doing chair seat covers, all that kind of thing, and which is why it's a double thread canvas, often used for rugs as well. But don't pierce the gap between the two threads, only go in the holes. It's like painting but numbers, but nicer. Just nicer, because it's woolly, and woolly's good. And then look, up and down, and it's one of those things where you just think, well, I'm going to go to bed, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish the light blue, and then you go, oh well, I'll just get into, and then before you know it's 2 o'clock in the morning. But you know, it's great. Children, perfect for children, beginners. Great for people, you know, who've decided they're going to give up sewing and haven't bought themselves a magnifier lamp because they think their eyesight's going. Great for that. But it's just also for, I think all of us crafters, whether we're sewers or knitters or crocheters or macrameists or whatever, we have different crafts for different times of the day and year and different things. You know, you might want to be doing a craft where you're sitting at the sewing machine, or one where you're knitting in an armchair, all different things, or whether you're going on holiday. And this is one of those crafts that's great for when you don't really want to concentrate too much, you don't have to think too much, but you just want to relax, because it is extremely relaxing, but it makes a nice picture as well. I mean, these are all made into cushions, but you can make into pictures. So look, there's another stitch. There we go. Now when you want to, what I would say is you can obviously do whatever colours, you can start and finish wherever you like, but I would say with this, because we've started with the light blue, and there is quite a lot of light blue round here, it's probably, rather than starting and finishing threads all the time, is that you could finish off the light blue around here. Because that is, you can't really see it very well from the canvas, but that is this area here, that's the light blue. And it comes round also, it's the sort of looks a bit like the grey of the daisy, but it's the light blue in there. So I've just done those sections there, but it's round the daisy there. So that's up to you. You can do whichever you like. When you come to finish off your length of yarn, take it through to the back and just thread it through, a bit like when you're weaving in ends in knitting and crochet. Thread it through. Don't pull it too tight, but just so that it's taut, and then thread it back through again. As long as you go through twice, that's enough. Then you just cut it off. Do cut off every end. Don't leave them loose, because what will happen is that when you then sew another area, you will start pulling that thread through into the other area, and then it will look really messy. I do have, I've got the wrong scissors here, but these are perfect. The embroidery scissors are perfect for just general, well, they are called needlework scissors, but they're great for yarn. I always have them on Yarn Lane because they're really sharp. They've got really fine points, so they're perfect for cutting yarns nice and close to the back of your work. Okay. So if you want to do, if you want to start on another area, then that's really simple. You just have a look at the colours. Once you've used one, then because you've got quite a lot of colours, this is why I knotted them together. We've got 5-star FIFA reviews. Brilliant item, really sharp tips and cuts beautifully. I know, that's why I was having them for Yarn Lane. They're just brilliant, aren't they? there's a message for a review from Bridget. Very sharp little scissors they are. I think it is worth investing in decent scissors, really, because to get the cut. I wrote down something and I must remember. So, yes, I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to myself. So let's do another area. Don't lose your needle. Very important. Don't lose your needle. We've got people multi-buying on these. Well, do you know what I did? Although I did just choose the ones I like, I did think about them being as part of a set. So the sheep goes on its own. I love the sheep. It's got a lovely, brilliant blue background. Well, he is the most limited. That's just made me laugh. They call them curious sheep. But you don't have to use it for a cushion. You could use it as a chair seat cover. You know, if you've got one of those chairs and you want to cover it. Second most popular is dog, puppy in the library. I have to move him around a bit so you can see all his books. His books. Isn't he lovely? I think next most popular, a flower. Giraffe. Well, where's giraffe? And obviously all the kits are exactly the same. They all have the hand-painted canvas, the acrylic yarn, tapestry needle, label, instructions. You just have to choose what you want. Isn't he gorgeous? Lovely present for somebody as well. But you know, if you've got child, grandchild, niece, auntie, grandma who wants to have a go at this, great present. I think at £24.99. Just remember, these are hand painted. Now Vivacco, who make these, have been going for over 70 years. And they know what people want. They know what the quality is and what they need to do. But I'm impressed that they can get it at this price. So those are the animals. But then obviously I chose birds because you might want to do a robin. Oh, I've just had a little landslide. All my kit's fallen on the floor as I knocked it off. Robin and blue tip. But you see how, you look at these two together, those pale green leaves in the background are the same. So they really make a beautiful matching pair. The blue tits coming in. Oh, I've had a nice message on Facebook from Christine. Oh, I'm so glad you're doing this demo, Rebecca. Oh, so I can get my niece Poppy to follow your instructions on YouTube. Well, exactly. From tomorrow, they will be on YouTube. So you can just sit and watch how to do this and go, that's so easy. So easy. Well, thank you so much, Chris. I'm glad we buy. Well, I'm sure she will love them. Then we've got lots of flowers. So we've got... Oh, I hope... Yes, Chris, I hope you've bought Poppy the poppies. Poppies... Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Poppies and flowers. Well, really, Lola, we've got roses. That would go with those as well, though, if you wanted a set of 3. I'm surrounded by cushions now. Look. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry, Paul's talking to me. Right, there's those 3. And then the one I've missed out, if you've only just come in. Oh, we didn't do the kitten. So the kitten and the puppy, who are now best friends. Oh, hang on. The flowers cushion. There we go. Look, aren't they gorgeous? They look nice together, don't they? And then the geometric one, which is just, some people just prefer something a bit simpler. That kind of classic, isn't it? Real classic, go with any decor. That's so popular, that one. And then don't forget the cushion backs. They're really, really important, because if making a cushion, you'll stop making a cushion because you can't be bothered, or you don't know how to, or you just don't want to make a cushion back, then we have them in 4 different colours. So this is the naturally colour. What's it called? Is it called cream? Just natural. So that's the colour that's used to back the cushions here, but obviously that colour isn't necessarily going to go with everything that you're making, whether it's this or different designs. I mean, I just think £9.99 for, it's a really nice quality canvas, 8 inches square with the zip already sewn in. Bargain. That's cream. We also have it in black. And we have it in, oh, so I'm just rushing, grey. And we have it in white. Remember, 1 P&P, and it doesn't matter if you've already shopped on Sewing Street this morning, you're covered. The P&P for Yarn Lane and Sewing Street goes all together, and you can shop between now and midnight, it still all goes together, so don't forget that. Yarn threader, now this is a great thing because it's really pretty. Well, it's for threading, isn't it? Now look, it closes up so you can keep it there, opens up. Now what you do, I'll have to unthread my needle. So if you do struggle at all with threading a needle, you just put the needle through the yarn, through the hole first, and it's a big hole, so it's easier to get through. You put the eye of the, have I done this the right way around? Yeah. I think I've done it the wrong way around. Sorry. You put, you put the needle through there, and it's much easier to get the metal. It's exactly the same as the needle thread. It's much easier to get the metal through. Then you put the yarn through, and that's easier because the hole is bigger. And then you do that, and it's threaded. See? Remember to put the needle on first, not the other way around. But then that closes like a penknife, and it's shut. But it's just a really nice piece of equipment. So if you do struggle at all with, so I don't know whether you can, I presume you can do it with just normal sewing thread as well. It's just the size of it, but it's just a really nice, really pretty thing. But I know we've only ever had it on once. I think it's lovely. Could have had it as a Yarn Lane Loves, but I thought, no, we'll have it on this show instead. So I put it on here. But it's a really nice, pretty thing, and it's beautiful, isn't it? Look, there we go. Yarn threader, but very important for this thing, but obviously for knitting and crochet as well. Obviously you're going to be sewing up all your items as well, aren't you? All your garments or your bags and your granny squares, and sewing all your ends in. So if you do struggle at all with threading your needles for all of the ends you have to do, then the yarn thread, and it's just a really pretty piece of equipment, that's the thing you need. Stylish. So let me show you another area, because I want to make sure that you've really cracked how to do this. So I'm going to, if you want to start off in an area that's already been done, so I've already worked those green cross stitches there, rather than using the waist knot method, which is the one I've done, you just run your needle through a few stitches. It only needs to be 2 or 3, just enough to keep it tight. You can put a knot on if you want to keep it secure for now, and then always go backwards. It's just like, to be honest, sewing ends in your knitting and crochet. Then cut off the knot, because you don't want the knots. The knots add bulk, and this is bulky enough as it is. Okay, so I should have gone back. I should have started the other end. Always have a little think about where you're going to start. I would say you don't really be wanting to be running your yarn over more than about 1 inch. I mean, I have there, but that's the waist knot. I'll be cutting that off because it starts sagging over across the back of the work. And also, as you're sewing, you will end up keep pulling it through to the front, and it's just messy. So it doesn't matter which way up you have your canvas at all, whether it's upside down or whatever. It's just that you need to make sure that that top stitch is in the right place. So let's have another look at this red. So I'm going to be stitching the bright red. Now, if you're not sure, because there are obviously 3 reds, have a look at the colours on the bottom, whichever of the designs you're doing. If you're not sure which colour yarn, have a look at what colour that's painted and what colour you're doing in here. And you've already put your threads on there, your yarns on there, so you know which is one. So I know that that colour there is the bright red here, because I've got an orangey red, a bright red and a darker red, and that's fine because those are the colours there. So I'm going to do the bright red. Remember, you are making a cross stitch over the centre of where it's painted. So bottom right, top left. Now what you can do as well, I'm just going to show you another way. If you're doing rows, now the ones I was doing down there with the light blue, they were individual stitches. But if you're doing rows, you can do it in this way. So do all of the bottom stitches first. Yeah. Top right, bottom left. Top right, bottom left. And if you're doing, I mean, it's funny, I'm doing it on a table. I wouldn't normally be table, I'd be sat on a sofa. You can just have this on your lap. And you can fold up the edges a bit like this. Sometimes what I do, if it's a big piece, I might roll it over so that you can get your, because you need to be able to get your hand to hold it like that, but it's fine to roll it. Got a question from Melanie. Hi Rebecca, can I work it like a cross stitch, as I'm familiar with that? Yeah, well it is a cross stitch. It is cross stitch. Cross stitch unfortunately is the name of a stitch and the name of a technique as well. So this is cross stitch, but cross stitch is also a technique, so they are cross stitches. What I'm doing is you can work them as individual cross stitches, but if you're doing a row, it's much easier to do it this way. Do all the bottom stitches, so you can see from where the painting is on the canvas that there's 5 of them. And then, right, so the next one would be that slightly lighter red. Bring the needle back up and work back the crosses the other direction. Now the benefit of doing that, I think it's just a bit quicker, but also you maybe have to sort of concentrate on which ones am I going to put where, make sure you're going the right colour. But once you've done half the cross stitch, then you don't, you just fill it over. So with this area of red, where we've got lots of red stitches, you could do all the half cross stitches for the whole area and then work back. The only thing I'd say is don't do these half crosses if you're crossing from one area to another, because then you've got to come back again and then you're increasing the amount of yarn that's sitting on the back of your work. So, but doesn't it grow really quickly? I mean, needlepoint does come in different size canvases and different effects, but it grows so quickly, it's so woolly. So with this, and now that's 5 there, and it just fills in, then you would do the next ones and you just move all the way up to see how the whole thing works. So that's how you do your cross stitch, and remember to fasten off your yarn. I'm going to keep this yarn in here, but you can just, if you don't want to fasten it off, you can leave it in the side, but just be very careful if you keep doing that you don't sew over it. So, oh, I've only got 10 minutes left. So when you come to finish it off, hang on, let me just pick up, yes, dropped all my bits on the floor. I think I knocked them all off with the cushions. Now, when you finish working it, some people find that their canvas is distorted out of shape. You shouldn't really have that problem. You do have it when you're doing tent stitch, which basically is just half a cross stitch. It's worked in a different way, but it looks like half a cross stitch. That can pull the canvas out of shape and you end up with a diagonal cushion rather than a square one. If you just check it when you finished it and make sure that it's square, so it's in right angles, you can do that by just measuring it, or just putting it, put it on the corner of a table and see if it's square. Because when you always do all the main thing, you don't have to. It's a lot easier if you work the main image first and all the colours and then do all the background afterwards. It's the best way of making sure you haven't missed anything. So work all of the colours first, and then can you see these little corner pieces? And there, and there, and there. That's where the background stitching comes up to, so you get the 16-inch square. So you can do some of it, but you will get a neater finish if you work all the background after you've worked all the main stitching. Then check that it's square. If it's not, fill the washing up bowl with warm water and some really light detergent. It could just be a bit of fabric conditioner or a wool wash or something like that, and put the whole thing and submerge it, because if it's gone off square, you've got to stretch it back again. Then get it out, put it into a nice thick fluffy towel and roll it up, and so that you don't want to wring it. Just roll it all up, and if it's still a bit wet, it will still be wet. If it's really wet, put it into a nether towel so that you've got as much moisture, but don't wring it like that. Put it into a towel and roll it up. Then you can put it onto something like a blocking board or a piece of just wooden board, something where you can draw out the square, and then you will have to I used to have a piece of wood, it was like the back of an old door, and I would draw the square onto it and then put drawing pins and stretch it back into shape. Now, you won't really have that problem with cross stitch, but if you've got maybe an old needlepoint design at home and that it's been sat in a bag for ages and it's gone diagonal and you don't know what to do with it, that is the only way around it. And you have to hammer drawing pins in and you stretch it back into shape. While it's wet, it will stretch back into shape. It really will. But it will take, about a week to dry, and then you can make it up. So just check that yours is square, and if it isn't, then put it back in. Then, when you put your cushion back on, I'm just going to show you very quickly because I have one here. So maybe you've now stitched the whole thing and you've done all the background. Put this right side's facing onto here. Make sure it all lines up so it's even all the way round, like this. And then, so it's right sides together. Turn it over and you need to stitch it. Do it by machine from this side. When you come to stitch it, you'll see, obviously I haven't stitched all the edge of mine, but you need to sew right through the very edge. Don't sew into the yarn, but sew right up next to it, because on the edge of your cushion, let me show you on one that they've already made up. Can you get close to that? You can see that they have stitched up to the edge of the cross stitch. Here we go. But not actually into it. So if you sew from the canvas side and make sure your sewing machine needle goes up to the edge of the stitch but not actually into it, you'll get that really nice finish all the way around. And it's really easy. Top tip, don't forget to have your zip open. Don't forget to have your zip open when you do that, otherwise you'll never turn it right sides out. So it's really easy, isn't it? Put that on, make sure it's central, sew it together all the way around, that's your cushion done, the quickest fix you can get. But you shouldn't have problems with it being out of shape, but that is the way to get it blocked. But if you need any help, please do join our go onto Facebook and put in Yarn Lane Fans and join the fan page, because they're a really, really brilliant community of people. There's over 3,000 of us now, and they're really helpful. They ask questions. People are often asking me questions about things, or all of you, what's the best way of doing this? What colour do you think I should do that? I don't know how to do this. Where can I find? And a really wonderful community of people. So if you've started it and you've got any questions, then just put it onto the fan page. You don't have to pay to join or anything. It's just our Yarn Lane Fans. So you just put into the Facebook search thing, Yarn Lane Fans, ask to join, answer the questions, because I do like to know whether you like knitting or crocheting, how you found us. So let's go through the kits. Sheep. Curious Sheep is not the most popular anymore. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Curious Sheep. $24.99. I don't need to say it again, do I? But everything you need is in the kit. Okay. Puppy. Not the most popular anymore. He's keeping the suspense going. Not the most popular anymore. The kit's on the floor, otherwise I'd show it to you. You don't need to see the pip. Next one, Kitten. You can't really see all the edges because it's in the cushion, can you? That's the Kitten. Geometric. Very popular. Classic. It's just a classic design. It's beautiful, isn't it? Do you know these are beautifully made? They've stitched them really nicely. Thank goodness for that. Poppies and cornflowers, which I think is just called flowers. That was the one that I was demonstrating when we did the little light blue flowers on the edge of the poppy. Next one is roses. I love the depth in this design. I think the cushion might be a bit too big for this. You can't really see the edges, can you? But you can really see the edges of all the petals and the swirls and the colours. You wouldn't think that, because obviously it's a cross stitch, it's very geometric, but the detail really shows up. Let's do poppies next. Poppies! I like the poppy bud. And this one's nice, isn't it? Because it's not just the cream background. Look, it's got the a little sort of a frame border. And I like the touch here where the poppy goes into the frame border and just sort of overlaps it slightly. It's obviously, you know, well, Rebecca, they've been around for, I told you, over 70 years. Is that all my flowers now? Right, let's do blue tit. Blue tit on the picket fence amongst the pink roses. He's pretty, isn't he? And he matches beautifully with the robin. They've got the same foliage. Oh, talking of robins, is this the most popular? Well, but there are more people with robins in their baskets. Never thought I'd say that. More people with robins in their baskets than we've got. So you do need to check out and put the robin and check out your robin. And then finally, the giraffe. You having a giraffe? And again, look, he's got the nice border, hasn't he? You know, there's a real strong design element. I think when you've got a company that's been going this long, they know how things work, what people want, how it works, how much to put in the kit. You know, how do you involve people? You need to make it simple. Right, and then very quickly, oh, 1 minute, I need to go and get it. Yarn Lane Loves. Now, remember I said right at the beginning how perfect the Yarn Lane Loves bag was for these kits. So when you're doing your kit and you want to put it away in the evening, you just pop your canvas in, chuck all your yarn in, put your kit on the floor, put it all in, zip it up, and there it is, ready, you see. It all fits in there nicely. Perfect. So if you're buying one of these kits as a gift, this is lovely as a bag to keep it all in. And it's a nice, it's not waterproof, but it's a nice kind of, the fabric, it's like a canvas, but it's got like a white, clean finish to it. Lot of multi-buys. Yeah, and don't forget, 1 P&P. Doesn't matter how many times you check out, only 1 P&P. And if you shopped on Sewing Street this morning, then you still get your 1 P&P. But that's just a really useful bag, isn't it? And it actually goes quite well. It goes well with the poppy design that I was just been sewing in it. So, thank you for joining me today on Yarn Lane. Now, Wednesday, Yarn Lane will be back with Sam Sabino from Adventures in Crafting. Now, I've had long chats with Sam about all the different things we're going to do. She's got so many ideas, so exciting. But she wanted to introduce tapestry crochet to you, and I know how much you all love a new technique. Whenever we do a new technique like crocodile stitch, Tunisian crochet, you really like. Well, tapestry crochet is a lovely technique. Anyway, she has designed some cushions exclusively for Yarn Lane based on this kind of the British countryside. So she said to me, I'm going to do a hedgehog and some dandelions. And I said, because we have a sheep. We weren't sure how, it was British Gardens. I said, well, you'll have to just pretend you've got a sheep. So she's got, I think, 6 different cushions designed. So beautiful kits, you will love them. So she will be with us at 12 o'clock on Wednesday. Complete tutorial about how to do them. And you know Sam's kits, they are lovely. But if you've always wanted to have a go at tapestry crochet, you can do that too. So thank you for joining me today. And well, I won't be back. I think it's John on Wednesday. Right, John's back tomorrow with Sewing Street, and he will be back on Wednesday with Yarn Lane too. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you very soon.